You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 5th day of March, 2020. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, well, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you cannot see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. On the days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, point any internet-connected browser to cfrn.net/live. There you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. You'll also find us streaming on TradingView, the first portion of the show, each and every day. That's tradingview.com. You'll also find us streaming live at youtube.com/CFRN, twitter.com/CFRN, and also on our Facebook page. So, wherever you're at, wherever we're at, there's plenty of places for us to meet up on the internet. We're going to go to John in just a moment here, as soon as he gets logged in. It looks like he is logged in. So let me go ahead and open up his mic. And here we go. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much. Good to be here.
Good to have you with us. Real quick, let me run through these numbers because I haven't done this yet. Currently, guys, here in the U.S., and the Russell 2000 down 36 points. That's about 2.25%. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 18 cents, trading 46.60 last. Gold up 20, trading 16.63 last. It's a gain of about 1.25%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 1%, up 229 points. Shanghai gained 60, that's 2%. And the Hang Seng gained 545 points at the close, that's a gain of just over 2%. And in the European markets, it's a bit of a different story. FTSE closed down 110, 1.5%. DAX down 182, 1.5%. And the CAC down 103, almost 2%. That gives us a green day in Asia, a red day in the UK. So far, it's a big red radio Thursday here in the US of A. Today is Thursday, so Dr. Tom will be joining us for the second hour of the program today. But we have John with us here right now. John, again, welcome to the show. And just let me know what markets you want to take a look at, and I'll bring us up a chart.
Well, right now you could take a look at the UVXY.
UVXY. Want that on a daily or intraday?
Yeah, if you like. Look, it's just making a new high, and the problem with this is what I was kind of wanting to see sooner. Actually, it should have happened kind of last week, but in other words, the premium, there's a huge premium in this thing right now. It's like this is a kind of an insurance policy against the market catastrophe. Mm-hmm. And, we're well off. We've had a pretty powerful rally today. We've cut, the NASDAQ's only down 126 on the futures. A while ago, it was only down 40. We couldn't quite get back to green today, but I wouldn't rule anything out today at the moment. Right now, the stocks are pretty beat up.
Headed into the London Open last night at 3 a.m. Eastern, it looked like the markets were going to rally, and then by 4 a.m. it was pretty clear that they were going to fail.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty incredible night actually, and I just missed getting short right on the close yesterday. And I got a sell signal, and unfortunately I had to do a few things thereafter. But it just deteriorated right from that point because going into the close it generated a pretty big sell signal, and we went down during the night, and around about 6 in the morning, I guess, between 6 and 9, we kind of developed a buy signal, mm-hmm. And that actually was a pretty high quality buy. But unfortunately, we've gone back to a sell of similar proportion to what we generated last night. So bad news is we may have a move from this sell signal down to a point where we might rally again, which, and given that we're going into Friday, it doesn't look very good. And the fact that we're selling off on a Thursday is troubling. However,
last night, John, our alert on the S&P, where'd it go? I just lost it. There we go. We had a weekly trading zone up at 93.94 and one below us at 33.34. So last night's Concierge Trade Alert was to sell the S&P at 30.63, which took us right down to the weekly trading zone, which we expect to be good support until it isn't. That sent us back up above the trigger, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So the market was very kind and gave us a second bite at the apple, as they say.
So, look, well, right now we're trying to get a bit of traction here, but it doesn't look very good. And
well, the support should come in down here at this zone 3033/34.
yeah, I'd agree with that. And if they can nip it in the bud and get this thing back up, it could look, you could got back up towards today's highs. That would be impressive. But
when I get the charts back, I want to show you something. I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to show you something when I get the charts back.
Okay.
And this is something that I said in the room this morning. But okay, go ahead.
So, the problem today is we're kind of getting an index rally, but we're not getting the rally in the stocks very much. It's it's sort of, we had kind of an intervention with the capital I this morning in the way this thing was able to bounce back up, and it still could, but it would be great. I mean, listen, if we can go green today, you could have a gap up tomorrow, actually. But and we were kind of set up for that yesterday, and it kind of looked like that was going to happen based on going into the close. Especially with, I said yesterday, record day up moves are very rare, and they generally, have meaning and can result in huge follow through to the upside. So it is it's a pretty big deal that is going on here. But with the United Airlines and Federal Express and Boeing, all these stocks that we were saying, when they were ramping them up, we were sort of scratching our head and saying it's like 1929. They were just buying with no reason.
Here's United on a 30-minute, John.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember before the by the way, on February the 23rd, which was a Sunday, I actually tweeted out that the market could crash thousands of points. So that was a pretty good call before it happened.
Very nice.
Anyway, thanks. So this is a pretty testy kind of a day today, because unfortunately, if we kind of go any lower and don't get any turnaround here, it could have devastating consequences in the next few days for the market. So
FedEx is not having a good day. It's not falling apart, but
no. But look, the Boeing and FedEx and the UL and all these and the cruise lines are just looking terrible. These stocks, and they're dragging.
What was that cruise line symbol you gave me yesterday?
RCL is one of them.
RCL. Okay, Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, and the other one is CCL.
CCL?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those both.
They're kind of like,
Let's throw this up on a daily and take a look at that. Wow.
Yeah, look at United Airlines to UAL.
Okay, here's UAL on a daily chart.
Same sort of thing. They're in all kinds of trouble. These carriers and everything. It's devastating, for the whole industry.
When is the next scheduled rate decision?
About a week, I think, or a little bit more. It's sometime in March, anyway.
You think the Fed will make a preemptive move?
Right now, the market's pricing in another cut. Now, look, there is a silver lining to all of this, and at some point, if this thing does peter out, in the next month or two, with the warm weather or whatever, the market could come back incredibly strongly, because right now we're hitting 170, almost 174 on the bonds, and since we've never been there before in history, back in September, remember when I said the market was going to rally big, and they were talking about recession back then, and we had this monumental rally basically into January, and even early February. And at that time, I think I said around about September, I said if these interest rates, the negative interest rates in Europe, which was at 17 trillion at the time, if they start rallying back towards, unchanged or positive, by the world. Remember I said that, by the world.
Yes, I do remember.
And turned out to be, right on. We went from 17 trillion to about 13 trillion. So a lot of that money was taken out of that situation.
How's the dollar weathering this storm? Not so good, huh?
Negative. It's crashing. It's finally crashing like we thought it would, and that's one of the reasons why gold is as strong as it is today. We're almost back to that 1690, which is remarkable in such a short period of time.
John, your audio just trailed off.
Yeah, it trailed off for me too.
Yeah, something changed. I don't know if you're further away from the microphone or...
Just fell out for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me show you this while we're talking about the effects of this coronavirus and the effect it's having on the markets. This will blow your mind. There was a book published in 2008 by Sylvia Brown called "End of Days: Predictions."
Oh, I've seen that.
Predictions and prophecies about the end of the world.
Yeah.
And let me try to blow this up so everybody can see it. Now, this book, published in 2008, said in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later. Is that what it says? 10? I have a hard time seeing it. And then disappear completely. That's pretty incredible. Now, one of our partners posted that in our private, actually that's a public Telegram channel, CFRN Breeze. That's what we talk about.
Well, was it Bill that posted that?
Yeah, Bill B posted that. Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I thought. Because he was tracking it. I mean, the presidential elections and the illnesses, they seem to be in sync.
Yeah, well, actually, the interesting thing about that is the fact that it might vanish as soon as it appears. And that's not a stretch, actually, because, there was when the swine flu, the H1N1 was going around, it was like a big deal. And there were supposedly 60 million infected around the world. But, once it went, you never hear of it again, right? Except for reference. So it's distinctly possible the same thing could happen with this, in a few months' time. And that's the point I'm getting at right now. The day these bonds, right now, obviously they're still going higher, and they could go up to 180 or, some crazy level, maybe even higher. But when the day they start coming off or reversing is a day the market will go up very dramatically. Because, to give you an idea, back in like 98, I think it was, when we had that financial crisis, the bonds rallied up to about 130, something like that. And, then went down to about 100. So from 30 to 100, the market doubled, the NASDAQ doubled in a year. Think about that. And then the same thing happened in, going into the 2003, to 7 when they were lowering rates, and then when they started raising rates, the bonds did that again, and they raised rates from 2005 to 2007, and the market soared, back to a new high at that time. And this entire bull market of the last decade actually, the bonds have really not moved down that much. They've been up to 150, 160, down to 140. They never even got much below 140, one in the 140s. So one day in the future, when these bonds start, going down by 10 points from 175 or 180, you're going to see a rally of mind-blowing proportions. You're going to see something much, much bigger than possibly we've seen to date. So, there'll be a lot of, and the reason is, the thing is, when UAL and all these stocks get beaten up, obviously they're damaging the index right now and taking the value out of it. But it's like Tesla, when Tesla turns up and, it leads the rest of the stocks up, they can be pounding Tesla all day, and all of a sudden it turns, and maybe Apple turns and Microsoft turns. When they all turn in sync, the market can turn up very, very sharply, even if they're down a lot on the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
See how we're closing in on this weekly trading zone, John? That's where we caught the bounce this morning on the sell-off. So this is going to be a kind of a big moment in the market, because if this doesn't hold the second trip down, then, well, it's pretty easy to see where we may be headed. This could be one of the biggest down days yet, and gold is up, 1%. So for those of you that are new to the program via TradingView, every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, we publish our weekly trading zones for the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ, gold, crude, bonds, and soybeans. We've published them since December 14th of 2009. So we just had our 10-year anniversary. And this is exactly how price behaves. It goes from zone to zone. We had an overshoot here, okay, trying to match that Fed rate cut surprise. And then once we get back below the zone, then that was last night's trigger, and again we found support. We're about to find out if it's going to hold again. If it doesn't, we'll probably see 3,000 in pretty short order. But until it fails, we anticipate that it is going to hold. What else you want to take a look at? Okay, we've lost your audio, John.
Okay. Yeah, I think we lost him.
Okay. All right. That is today, guys. If you want to join us for the second part of the show.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, took a call.
Yeah. If you want to put in ZM.
ZN.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of the stock of the day. No, ZM with a mic.
I was going to say, please tell me why it was the stock of the day. So. Okay, this is Zoom, who they just went public last year, correct?
Yeah. So they came out with some earnings. They opened lower and rocketed higher, and that's pretty interesting. That was a huge move, pulling back a little bit right now. But this is a stock that doesn't look like it's done going up yet. Although this kind of zigzag formation could be a little bit tricky.
The big outside day so far.
Yeah, we could be looking at a kind of a top here. The other one is Roku, ROKU.
Okay.
Roku actually looks like it might be ready to start moving up from here, since it's kind of a stay-at-home type stock, as they call it, and it just the way it's sort of had a few stabs at the lows. It hasn't broken down. It actually acted quite strongly today off the open again, and I think one of these days this stock could actually get some upside traction, possibly be a pretty good upside contender.
Do you think this Disney Plus played any role at all on this decline in Roku? And I don't know for sure. I don't know if Disney Plus is available on Roku. There's thousands of channels if you start really digging down in there. It started to be kind of like YouTube.
I wouldn't be surprised. you know, so
Let's look at gold. We haven't looked at that yet.
gold is doing fantastic right now.
There's a daily chart.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, look at this kind of reverse head and shoulders here.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of rejects a huge upside from here, like 1750, 1800, very, very quickly. So,
Yeah, getting back over 1700 and holding that on a pullback. That last night the alert on gold was to be long 1645. That went out to all the partners at 6:35 p.m. Eastern. If anybody wants to grab a screenshot, feel free. There they are, right there. And so gold belonged 1645, and we're sitting at 1663 right now. So we're at about a $20 move. It's $2,000 per contract traded from the alert entry price up to the swing high. Of course, getting out at swing highs are difficult because you don't know it's a swing high or swing low until after the fact.
yeah, actually, we're getting a little bit of attraction here, and I think there's a chance this might turn into a rally here. So
You're talking S&P?
Yeah, and I think the VIXs are starting to come up a
Let's
little
look
bit
at
here.
the let's look at the SPX, S&P 500 cash. This is a 30-minute. Now let me go back to the ES where we had. There we go. All right, so that area that we talked about, buyers came in. Looks like we came within just a couple ticks of hitting the zone. We spiked it by a couple ticks earlier, and that sent us back above the trigger. We triggered a second time. Now it looks like buyers are coming in early to try to run it up. So this next half hour to an hour should, one of two things will end up happening. We'll get back above the trigger, and we'll have a third opportunity to short it, or this support fails, and well, we've already discussed that. So
Yeah, I think it's going to go down from here, but that's my thought.
yeah, let's go back to silver and look at it on a daily.
It's the beginning of it, Mike.
There we go. All right, John, what else you want to look at?
Yeah, let's have a look at Lake, L-A-K-E.
Is that a chip? Are they the chip company? LAK? Oh no, the Lakeland
No, they're
Industries. That's
the
something
ones that
different.
make the hazmat suits.
Oh, okay.
So it's picking up a bit today, but it's well off the highs at the moment.
And you know what's
Look at the
what's
base on
interesting
that
about
thing.
that?
Good lord. Look at that.
Yep. Just talking about hazmat suits. I mean, who makes those masks that you wear? I mean, the reason I asked that
3M.
is because
3M, maybe.
3M. The reason I asked that is because, you know, people walk my neighborhood all the time, and there was just a person walking around my neighborhood with a mask on,
Wow.
and only one known case in North Carolina, and they, you know, they've stayed inside, but.
I was surprised that Gavin Newsom
Getting
declared
ugly.
a state of emergency in California. But I guess better to be prudent and then sorry. So that was announced last night. Don, did you hear the interview last night with the president and Sean Hannity?
Some of it. I didn't get all of it. Anything in particular?
No. He's mellowing. President Trump. At least, maybe he didn't sound tired. He sounded very energetic. But maybe it's, because of this coronavirus and, there's, lives being lost, lives in danger. Maybe he's tempering things a bit. But I thought it was a very good conversation.
That's good. Yeah. No, I wouldn't be surprised if he mellows a lot before the election.
And
He's,
Elizabeth Warren dropped out today, correct?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really
She lost
down
in
to-
Massachusetts.
yeah.
Yeah, when you
That
lose
speaks
in your
volumes.
home state, that's tough.
Yeah.
So
I
you
can't
know,
believe it.
she peaked too early, like a lot of these guys. So
I can't believe she got
how
Romney.
about ARCT? ARCT.
James, I see your question, and when we get into the second part of the show, I'll bring up my other charts and I'll go over that with you.
And
ARCT.
Tim wants to look at 3M.
Okay.
After we look at
Sure.
this.
Okay, there's Arcturus
Oh, check out
Therapeutics.
Clorox. Clorox is making new all-time highs today.
Symbol.
CLX.
New all-time historic highs, really. Now, when we see the guys in China and other places and they're spraying this stuff, is it Clorox that they're spraying? Do you know what it is that they're disinfecting with?
So apparently in Japan they're using colloidal silver.
Oh, yeah, you
and
mentioned
it's
that the
starting-
other day. That stuff's not cheap.
It's starting to help the silver. Actually, you can put the silver up. The silver hasn't moved yet, but it might go gangbusters here any time.
Here it is again. This is daily.
You know, it could really accelerate.
Got to clear
higher
this
from here.
obstacle right here at about
Yeah,
1750, and then we could run, up a buck to 1850 without too much difficulty.
Yeah.
Potential.
It's good to see the gold the palladium is going back up again. Check out the palladium PAA.
Palladium. There we go. That is the all-time historic high there, right?
Yeah. But it's up 81 today already. You can't really see that, but it's up quite remarkably.
Let me drop
So
down.
that's usually, they usually tend to push gold higher when that's happening. So, the silver, it's a tricky one because, it's the weaker, gold's up 21, silver's up 10. It's definitely a mismatch, but it could get fixed later on,
Now here's 3M, makers of the mask. So yesterday's high, this is 30 minutes, so yesterday's high, we spiked it, but there was no follow through. And so we've just a little retracement here. It's not starting to fall apart, but it's had a pretty good day. Up $4. It was up $4. It's pulling back now. Anything else?
No, I think that's covered everything. This rally just got a short-lived rally. It's not holding yet, but the VIX, if the VIX reversed up here, it might give this rally a chance. But right now, I mean, if you remember, we sort of said a while back, we thought the VIX would go to about 35 from the 11 low. So we're almost up triple, 2.5 times up now off that 11 low so far, which is in a very short period of time. So.
There was quite a
And
base
the fact
built
that
to
the fact that the VIX is going higher, and the market is way off the lows. I mean, that's pretty bearish, because
Yeah, it really is.
why would the VIX be going higher if people didn't fear the market could go a lot lower, So there could be a real big extreme, like, this thing could go insanely higher from here still. That's what happened in 87. I think it went to 150 or something.
that little rally on the S&P, it's starting to come undone. So we're going to make a run again at this weekly trading zone. And if it doesn't hold, if these lows right here, if this zone doesn't hold, then the next thing on deck's 3,000, just for the fact that it's a big round number. and then potentially lows we saw the other day, 29.80. So this whole rally that we've seen will just kind of be erased.
Can we look at 3M? I just want to. I mean, I know the Master is such a small part of their total line of products.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious.
I had it up just a second ago. Here we go.
Oh, did you?
30-minute, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
30-minute on 3M.
At a gap, and it's filled the gap, and it's in the gap right now. So, be interesting.
Yes, indeed. Well, John, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Wait, John. If you want to stick around for a few minutes, after.
Yeah, I'd like to see what you were going to say. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Because we're still getting our trading view charts put together so that we can use them full-time during the show. At this point, we will end our live stream on tradingview.com. However, the good news is you can just go to our homepage, CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click that big microphone, follow the instructions, and you'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that'll give you one-click access to the show each and every day. So again, John, thank you very much, and we look forward to talking with you again tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, Michael, you ready to take it over?
Yep, I can grab the charts. What time is it? 12:40. I'm just.
It is.
Just gonna grab the chart. It is. It is indeed. Okay. This is what I wanted to show you. Earlier in the morning, when this candle was being created, all right, on the shorter time frame, the market was all over the place. This is the ES, and the market was all over the place, and it was jumping up and down and jumping up and down on the small time frame. In my world, and then when we broke the YBR, I said, I think it's going to try to get up. I mean, we broke the BBC. I said, I think it's going to try to get up to the YBR and broken dynamic support.
Yep.
And that's what this candle did. And down here, the whole time, we had this huge separation. I'll call it separation instead of divergence. But it was bearish. It was looking very bearish. And I said, so what we should look for is short trades. When this candle closed up like this, we got red on the YBR, we got a down close on the 30-minute, and we were bearish down here. That was just totally bearish. The whole thing was, and that's what I told everybody. I was, look, if you get an opportunity to take a short trade on the ES, you should take it. And on the smaller time frame, well, there were a bunch of opportunities. You see them all?
Yeah.
Did they just jump off the screen?
and we just took out the weekly trading zone.
There.
So we should rally back up to it, and if it holds as good resistance, earlier today it held as good support, sent us up for an additional trigger. But now we're below it, so if we pull up to it, it should be good resistance, and that will give us that leg down. If we go to 3,000, I mean, that's another 28 points on top of whatever the S&P is down right now on the session. Look at that.
This was, I want to say, I had a difficult time this morning because I stopped out on my first 2 trades and I had to make that all back and then get the goal for the day.
Right.
But, looking at all the markets.
That's the truth about trading.
It is. It is. And looking at all the markets and trying to identify the trades and answer the questions and all that stuff. But when I said this about the short trade, I was really looking at the short trades. Really looking at the short trades. Because, they were popping up and popping up and popping up and popping up, popping up. And it's, so I had a bias. Okay, I think that's what I'm trying to say. I had a bias on the short side. And that worked out. I mean, in the results that I got today, it's not going to show that it worked out all that well. I mean, it worked out positive, but not hugely, because once I got the goal for the day, then I really focused on the questions and pointing out the trades. But that's what I wanted to show you on the 30-minute chart.
Okay.
When you get this on the YBR, you get a down close and you have bearish separation down here, that's very bearish. Okay, and on the 30-minute chart, when you get it the other way around, like this, blue, you get an up close and bullish separation down here. That's very bullish. Okay, and that happens again and again and again. And I just wanted to point that out. This is what I was thinking about.
Okay.
Because I don't normally talk about the larger time frames, but I know that you use them, and we have a whole bunch of partners that are looking at the markets based upon, like the passport holders are looking at the markets based upon all the stuff that we have with Logic 24/7, the Concierge Trade Alerts, and I wanted to point out to them, because they have all the indicators,
Right.
and I just want to point out to them that this is what they should be looking at. This is what they should be considering. When to get a bias to one side or the other, and look at what it just did. Look at what it just did. There was a short trade from right here. Right here.
Beautiful.
Put that leg down. Another one. Right here. Put that leg down. Another one. So,
Now, as you get ready to launch into the recap of everything that happened in the live training room this morning, I just want to take a moment to address something that was actually brought to our attention yesterday as we were in a mentoring session with one of the guys who's on a trial with us. Now, we've always made it a point not to beat up on other companies. We've always urged you to be very cautious, and one of the big guys. You've seen the late night infomercials on TV. It is that Day Trading Academy out of Irvine, California. The FTC has taken great issue with those infomercials and the promises that they allude to or just flat out make during that 30-minute infomercial. And I got to tell you, from a production standpoint, it's a very compelling video. And the FTC has decided it's just a little bit too compelling.
Want me to post the link to the PDF?
The new guy, you certainly can. The PDF details, what was supposedly done wrong, and this is what it comes down to. If anybody, I don't care if they got a fancy infomercial or not, if they promise you that you will make profits in the market following their strategy, you need to back up and take a real close look, okay? Because nobody can tell the future. We know what a high probability trade setup looks like. We know what low risk looks like. But what we don't know is the future. Now, the Federal Trade Commission, this actually happened. This was originally filed on February 12th. Charged them with misleading investors who paid at least $370 million for classes over a 6-year period of time. Now, we have a lot of partners, passport holders, who attended this academy as well, and they learned a lot of, good fundamental stuff about the market. The unfortunate part is, while the promises and the claims were greatly inflated, and we don't make any promises, We promise to teach you everything we know about trading Emini Futures. We teach you our strategy, we teach you our methodology, but just as I could teach someone who's never played baseball how to play baseball, I certainly can't promise you that you're going to become a pitcher for the Yankees. So, there's always been an issue in this industry with extravagant claims and whatnot. And normally you see some of the other watchdog agencies, like the Futures Trading Commission, SEC. It's interesting that this lawsuit is brought by the FTC itself, and I think that's because of such incredible wide exposure on TV, and the very compelling, the very, very compelling infomercials. Entry level, I think, was about 17 grand. And one of the things they did is they had a questionnaire where, if they were considering allowing you to become a student, you had to fill out a questionnaire that disclosed all of your financial holdings. And based upon how much money you got, that's what they pitch you. You might get, if you're not doing so hot, you'll get pitched the $17,000 package. But if you're, fat, dumb, and happy, you could get pitched the $50,000 package. And you know what? If what was promised in that infomercial were actually true, I couldn't write the $50,000 check fast enough. Sadly, we know the truth about trading, and if you decide to come and hang out with us, take our free trial, you'll quickly see that we stay far and away from that type of marketing, that type of just, misleading people. It's wrong. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're a transmission repairman, or a futures trader, misleading the consumer, is wrong. Thou shalt not lie. That's what it says. So anyway, any of you that have gone through that program, I don't know if this company will still be standing at the end of all this, but if you need help, if you want to take a free trial, I don't know I think they have a 3-day workshop that you can purchase, but with us, we give you 5 days to come in, watch us in real time live markets every day, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. You don't have to put up a credit card. You can utilize our platform, the one you see up right now. You can utilize our indicators. You can receive our Concierge Trade Alerts and our Logic 247 alerts for the entire week. And then at the end of the week, you're able to make a well-informed decision whether or not what we do is right for you. So as opposed to making any kind of a promise, we just show you what we do all week long for 5 days, then you get to decide. So with that, Michael, I'll hit mute on my end, and you can launch into your recap. And Dr. Tom will join us when Michael finishes the recap. And we're going to talk about, I think today, with Dr. Tom, the coronavirus. So it's all yours.
All right, I got it. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today it's my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. 75 today. It is the 5th day of March, 2020. And let's bring up, hang on, let me go over here. Why does that thing go away all the time? It just doesn't make sense to me. Hang on, I gotta open it up from mail. All right, well, anyway, what I'm gonna show you is the spreadsheet. And if you're gonna read the spreadsheet, you could read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. And, just saying that is more than that other company would ever do. Hold on. I'm getting down there. We had another green day, though it wasn't easy like it has been the past couple of days, or the past few days. All right, here we go. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at CFRN.net. And you can click right over here in the right-hand column, 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. Click that, or you can go down and click any one of these other green buttons. They all go to the same place. They go here to eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number, and you can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay? Once you click that confirmation link, we know you took the free trial, and we'll send you all the information you need to get into it. And, most everybody in here knows, but like Dwayne said, it's a 5-day free trial. You get to sit there and watch us for 5 days. And most everybody in here knows Let me just see who is in here. Yeah, most everybody in here knows that it usually ends up being a little more than 5 days, depending on what day of the week you started it. But anyway, today we were +4 in the euro, we were -1 in crude, we were +7 in gold, and we're +6 on the ES. Put us at +160 on the day. Now today it took me a while. You know, Monday 5 minutes, Tuesday 7 minutes, Wednesday 6 minutes, today 76 minutes. Monday 1 trade, Tuesday 1 trade, Wednesday 1 trade, today 13. But we did get to the goal for the day. We were at $135 a contract when we got there, and we took a total of 15 trades this morning. Now, I would have gotten it on my first trade, but my chart's locked up and I had to restart G2 Pro. And it is what it is. Then I stopped out twice, and I'll show you all that in a minute. So on the month now we're at $1,695. That's over 4 days, averaging $423 per contract per day. On the year, we're at $8,647. That's over 40 days, averaging $216 per contract per day. Now that's just 2 hours per day. Okay, so now I'll get into it. We'll start out with gold, and that's where I would have made the goal for the day on my first trade. And I'll be happy to show you that. See, all in here, my charts were locked up. But there wasn't a trade right here. There wasn't a trade right here. Then it started turning around. This one right here would have got me the goal for the day. That would have been the first trade of the day right there. So it would have been in 5-6 minutes maybe. This one would have also gotten the goal for the day. And there was another trade here that I missed. This is all, my charts were locked up and I had to restart GT Pro. So then I started picking away at it. And right here, hang on, something's missing. Yeah, something's definitely missing. My stop out is missing because I stopped out on a trade somewhere. But we started picking away at it and trying to get it back. My first trade was on the euro. My second trade was on crude and I stopped out. My third trade was on gold and I stopped out. So somewhere in here, I stopped out. I'll have to go look. But there was a stop out over there. Then I started picking away at it, gaining it back. My first one right here, my second one right here, was +5. That put me at -3. My next one was +10. That put me at +7 on gold on the morning. Okay, I had one more break even over here, and I think that's the last of my trades this morning on gold. Yeah, it was. I'm not exactly sure where I stopped out, but let's just go look at the trade setups. Now I missed that one. I missed that one. Both would have been winning trades. I think it was right. No, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. It's a puzzle. Wasn't there? Oh, you know what? It might have been right here. It might have been right here. Yeah. Because that's the only stop out one from the morning session. So I stopped out on that. And then I picked up a little profit there. A good chunk right there. And I had a break even way over here. Then, we got into the break and there were more trades during the break. Profitable. Break even. I'm just looking at the slingshot. That was about it. So we ended up with a +7 this morning on gold. Okay, now the euro. What did we do with the euro? Just a couple of trades. Okay, we started out here with a break even. We missed this long right here. It's too bad because it would have been a nice profitable trade. This one would have been as well. This one maybe break even. And then we picked up 4 ticks right here. Okay, and then we get into the break, and let's see. It looks like there was a long here that would have been close to a stop out, but would have been profitable. There was a short here that would have been profitable. A long here that would have been profitable. And another one here that would have been profitable. And that was it for the euro. Okay, and crude. Well, we had today we had natural gas come out at 10:30. The first trade on crude was right here. Actually, there was one right here as well. And I missed them both. I think I was restarting at that point. Then I jumped in and took, my first trade. My first trade was on the euro, it was a break even. Then my next trade was on crude and I stopped out. My next trade was on gold and I stopped out. But, the good thing about it is just getting back to positive. And on crude, I got so close. I had this trade right here where I picked up a couple of ticks, and this trade right here where I picked up 5. And then I was looking and I was waiting for a good trend to establish over here. And it finally did over here, but I missed this trade right here. I don't know why I missed it, but I did. And there was another one right here. There was a momentum long trade, would have been break even. Let's see, keep going through. Well, this is during the break now. And during the break, there would have been a shorting opportunity there, a shorting opportunity there, another one there, all with the profit potential. A long trade here, that would have been profitable. And let's see, a shorting opportunity there, another one here, and that was it. Now the ES again was all over the place today. So I'm going to back it out, and I'm not going to go through the stuff that happened during the break because Dr. Tom's supposed to come on in like now. And so I'll just get this done and show you what we did with the ES today. What did we do? We had 5 trades on the ES, and that's not counting the ones we missed. And we had a stop out on the ES too. I hate stopping out on the ES because, it's the full $100 per contract, and I don't like that. But okay, I know I was fixing my computer in this time span, so there was a short there that would have worked out, a short here that would have worked out. I'm going to go through this quickly because I know we got Dr. Tom on the line. I had a break even there, and I'm scrolling forward. I had another break even there, another break even there. No, that's not all right. One of those was a +2. I think this one was a +2 ticks. Okay, and now we got to find my stop out. See, we had a huge trade right there that I didn't get filled on. A nice trade here that I didn't get filled on, but I tried to, but it just didn't take it. Here's my stop out. Okay, so that was that put me at -6. Okay, and then here I picked up 12 ticks. That put me at +6. That's where I ended the morning session. And here I was writing my log, and I missed the follow-up trade, and the other follow-up trade, and other follow-up trade. So there was a bunch of opportunity today on the ES, there and there. And I didn't mark it, but right here. And then it got choppy, and we didn't get anything until over here. But I wouldn't have done anything here because we weren't trending. And let's see, did we have anything in here? No. Not until up here. We had a little bit of a long right there. And that was it. Then we get into the break, and it just tanked during the break. And what I was telling everybody is look for the short trades. Look for the short trades, because that is where the money is going to be. Okay. All right. And with that, look at all these trades. You know, if you look down here at the slingshot and you see the green line pulling away from the cycle like that, I mean, you can, you know, when you're back testing, like for somebody who's new, when they go back and look at the back testing, anytime you see the cycle pull, I mean, the green line pull away from the cycle like that, you know, price is acting. It's pulling back. That's cool. That's a really high probability trade. It's not our highest probability trade, but it's a really high probability trade. And excuse me, I just saw an example of what I wanted to show you. But I lost it. Well, this wasn't an actual trade setup, but what I was looking at is if the brown line is on the other side of the cycle and you get a pullback like this with the green line, that's going to be a direction change, at least temporary. Okay. Just something to consider. You see here, when it pulled back, total direction change. You know, and if you look at the larger picture, you know, you just have to glance at it, and you can get a good idea of what's really going on from that. Yes, William, that is correct.
Hello, hello.
Hello, there's Dr. Tom. All right. Well, with that, hang on, Dr. Tom, for just 1 minute. I'm just finishing up. So with that, let me just tell you how to take the free trial. Go over this really quick. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we made 4 in the euro. We lost 1 in crude, made 7 in gold, made 6 on the ES. Put us at plus 160 per contract on the morning session. Today took a long time, 76 minutes and 13 trades to get to the goal for the day. That's because we stopped out 3 times today, but we made it all back up. And we were at 135 per contract when we got the goal, and we took a total of 15 trades. So on the month now we're at $16.95. That's over 4 days, averaging $423 per contract per 2-hour day. On the year, we're at $8,647. That's over 40 days, averaging $216 per contract per 2-hour day. So that is that stuff. Now let me go back here. If you have not taken a free trial with us, just go to eminitrainingschool.com. Scroll down to where it says 1 week free trial. All we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. Then you can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training specifically for you. Okay, hit the send button. You'll be sent a confirmation link. You have to click that link. If you don't click the link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So click the link. Okay. And with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park, in Studio A. And Dwayne, and we can, then we'll go to Florida, I think, right? Dr. Tom.
Yeah. Let me grab this and do this and do this. So, Dr. Tom, are you there?
I am there, or here.
Well,
You are there, wherever you are.
Michael, sounds like you're doing really good.
Yeah, it's we've had a good, I'm knocking on wood here. I mean, today was complicated because I stopped out a couple times. Well, I actually stopped out 3 times, but you know, we got it all back. And the markets had just been nuts. You know, Monday Sunday night I knew they were going to be. And with all those gaps Sunday night, and the gaps got filled, and you know, most of them got filled in like 2 hours. The euro took a little longer. And then, you know, when you put all the pieces together, you know, and I'm trying to show people how to put all the pieces together without causing more burden, you know, or
Right.
or you know, making the,
trading's not easy, but it can be simple.
right. And so, you know, in the room in the morning, you know, everybody sees what I do, and that's what I want them to learn how to do. There's other ways to do it, and you know, I'll show them that too. But I've started adding a little more reference to the larger time frame stuff because, you know, all the guys that are doing the Logic 24/7 and the Concierge Trade Alerts, you know, that's based on larger time frame stuff. And
Well, I figured out an easier way to benefit from this.
buy gold.
I'm thinking, No, I think of adopting you, and then you can support me in my old age.
Yeah, there you go. You're going to adopt a 52-year-old?
Well, I'm older than you, so I guess it'd be okay. I'll have to check with my wife, but I think it'd be fine.
Probably.
Interestingly enough, you cannot adopt an adult legally in the United
Really?
States. That's a true story, yeah.
That seems to be sort of discriminatory.
Yeah,
It does.
I just...
What if I want to be adopted by Dr. Tom?
It would be a very unusual situation where someone, I would think, would want to do that, and maybe that's why you can't do it, because nobody's ever really challenged it and fought for the right to do it, for whatever your reason might be. For us, it had to do with Agnes in Africa. Long story, but they said nope.
Well, what if Michael was mentally incompetent and needed someone to be his guardian?
That's a good point. I think what they would do is they would, and I think you probably could get I'm sure you could get guardianship status in that kind of a situation.
I know somebody who used to care for mentally incompetent people. Okay, I'm not going to use the R word, but
Right.
mentally.
See, I don't really mind if you're mentally incompetent as long as you can trade like that.
Yeah. Well,
So-
that's what it's all about.
But don't run
Let's
for
check it
president.
out. I'm going to go to the courts and see what I can do.
All right.
All right.
Or we could get serious if you like.
Well, how was your trip to CPAC? What was that all about?
I enjoyed myself.
Did you?
Yeah, the president was on stage and he waved at me. At least I think it was me. It was kind of a small, intimate setting of about 13,000 people. But he really cracked everybody up. When he was talking about Mini Mike, he started squatting down lower and lower and lower and lower till you couldn't see anything but his hair above the podium, and it just brought down the house. Mini Mike Bloomberg.
Yeah, he said he got into the race to make sure Trump didn't get reelected. And he said he left the race for the exact same reason. So I don't know what kind of mental...
But when you're a billionaire, you don't have to make sense.
In his head, there's some kind of strategy going on, some kind of political chess. Or maybe it's his way of saving face. I came and did what I came to do, and now it's time for me to go. But I mean,
For a guy like him, it's all about ego.
the sum of money spent, given, I don't know. It's his money. God bless him. God bless America. He can do with it as he pleases.
Well, at CPAC, I was interviewed on I guess about a dozen different radio and TV programs. And that was a lot of fun because people were interviewing me in all different areas, on the Constitution, on the national debt, on biblical finance, on precious metals, the international economy, all areas that I do a lot of study in. So that was a lot of fun. And some of them want me to come back and be on their programs live. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah,
I got
look
to
at
meet,
you, Hollywood.
yeah, got to meet a lot of neat people. In fact, I ate dinner right next to Diamond and Silk,
Yeah.
and chatted with them for a little while. Met Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch. It was really interesting. And the days that we didn't go to CPAC, we went to museums.
Mhm.
I'm about as patriotic as anybody I know, but when I went to the Marine Corps Museum, I mean, my wife and daughter said, "Really, Marine Corps?" I said, "Look, I'm a Marine. I'm going there. You don't have to go if you don't want to, but I'm going." It was a wonderful experience. I mean, it kicked my patriotism up a notch or two. I'll tell you that.
Did it?
And then we went to the Museum of the Bible, which was fascinating. I highly recommend that to anybody that's in DC. All the museums there, the facilities are free, by the way. The Museum of the Bible isn't, but it's only, I think, $20. But they have actual parchments from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was fascinating about all the different types of Bible translation. You know, we hear about Martin Luther getting in trouble for challenging the Catholic Church on some of the doctrines he considered to be false.
Right.
Well, actually, they almost executed him for translating this to the Catholic Church. They were going to burn him at the stake for translating the Bible from Latin into German so that the common people could read it. I never knew that about him.
Now that you mention it, I think I did maybe read that somewhere at some point. But that's...
And then I went to the American History Museum, and it had a lot of good stuff in it, but so much of it was just fluff. You know, like they had a whole huge exhibit about the First Lady's dresses and stuff. Who cares? I'm there to learn about history. And they had, you know, like the history of the phonograph and the radio and so on. Again, there's museums for that, for technology. This is supposed to be American history. So finally I found one that I thought was about our history. And it was called The American Democracy. It was this huge display, several thousand square feet, paid for by some rich liberals. And throughout the entire display, they referred dozens of times, they referred to America as a democracy. Not once was the word republic mentioned. So I didn't even have to know that they were Democrats by being told, you know, just by seeing the display, because the Democrats always call us a democracy. And Republicans typically call us a republic because that's what we are.
And we did a radio show about that topic a few weeks back.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even see some Republicans referring to us as a democracy. So I went and complained about this display. You know, they spent millions of dollars on it. And the one guy said, well, you know, put in a complaint and they'll look at it upstairs. The other guy said, don't bother. The whole Smithsonian has become so liberal. And I started thinking about all the displays.
Interesting.
They were great, but they all had a liberal slant to them. And this one in particular was just outright propaganda. They were trying to convince little kids and dumb adults that the United States is a democracy. And it ain't. So there. That's what I think, and I'm sticking with it.
All right. Did you, do you have slides today?
I do.
Let me
I have some scary slides for you.
Okay. Let me send that over, send the screens over to you.
Alrighty. Look at there, I have slides.
Why all the, it's the first slide. We just weren't seeing the whole thing.
Why all the fear? Why all the fear about the coronavirus?
Yeah, we're not on that slide now. We're on a different one. We're on number 10. And I think you want to be on number 1.
Let me try that again then, because I was on number 1.
Now you're on number 1.
And I hit F5. You seeing what I'm saying?
It says why all the we can't see the it's like we can't see the right side.
Oh, you know what? I need to make a thing full screen.
There you go.
And now
Ta-da.
it will work.
Beautiful. Good job.
All right. So on the airplane, we were seeing all these people wearing these masks, and I did a little study on that, and the doctors say these things are totally useless against the coronavirus. There's one really expensive rebreather that cost over $200 that might be effective. But these little paper masks, all they do is make people, I guess, makes them feel less fearful.
It's called a rebreather. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
But you'd have to wear. I mean, you'd have to wear gloves and and not touch anything, and then throw your clothes out as soon as you get off the plane, because the virus, from what I've been told, anyway, it lives on surfaces for 5 days. And,
yes.
And so you can't touch anything, and I mean, it's your clothes are a surface, so if you're sitting in it, you don't even know it.
Yeah. And these days, when you fly on an airplane, I don't know if y'all remember the older cars, you could either recirculate your air, you flip a switch and recirculate the air in the car. So if you're heating or air conditioning it, it takes less gas. Or you could have it draw in air from the outside that has to be cooled or heated. Years ago, the airplanes decided to save jet fuel. And so everything you breathe on the plane is recirculated.
Yeah.
And if somebody sneezes in first class and you're back in the tail end of the plane, you're going to breathe whatever they sneezed.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a sick baby in the back that, believe me, I've flown so much. Thankfully I got custody of my son, so I don't have to do that anymore. But I used to fly over 60 times a year, and yeah, that's a lot of time on an airplane. And I got into the groove, and I just kind of got used to it. So it wasn't that big of a deal. It was a pain in the neck driving to the airport because it's an hour away, and then going inside and having to wait in line. But I had priority status on everything, so I didn't have to really wait in too many lines. But yeah, I mean, right now, I was supposed to be in Massachusetts yesterday, and I was going to drive, but fortunately, I didn't have to go, and I will have to go in either 2 or 3 weeks. I'll have to go up there, but I'm still going to drive. I am not getting on an airplane right now. And, those masks, you'd have to have like 4 of them on, those little white ones. That's
Well, the rebreather, what it does is it takes the air that you exhale, it scrubs it, and then you're breathing your own air back in. But I was reading about one doctor that uses this equipment when he goes into isolation rooms, and he says he can't stand it for more than half an hour because it gets so hot and humid.
Oh yeah,
in there.
yeah.
And
well, if you were in the Marines, you remember the gas mask.
You have to have a perfect seal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I still
if you don't have a perfect seal, you do?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Want to sell it?
It's in Massachusetts right now. I can't really get access to it. I'd have to go there.
Okay.
I have to fly there to get it. No, just kidding. I would drive.
But yeah, it's just not a practical thing because you have to have it perfectly sealed all the way around your face, and to really do that, you have to put Vaseline around the edges to keep a perfect seal. And who can live like that? Then, like you say, if you touch things, you're going to get it. But here's my point with this slide. Why is there all this fear about the coronavirus?
Because there's no cure for it right now. There's no shot you can go and take that might make you not get it. Like the flu.
Well, there's no cure for the flu either.
No,
90% of the time, the flu viruses either don't work or they're only partially effective against certain types of flu. And after you get the flu, there's nothing. You can take all the shots in the world. There's nothing that's going to stop it. But look at some of these numbers. first thing I want to make is, it immediately, this thing the Democrats started circulating, pound Trump virus, like it's his fault. Okay, like if Mount St. Helens erupted again, it would be pound Trump volcano.
Yeah.
Please give the guy a break. Trump acted quickly and appropriately. He recognized the threat early on. Most countries didn't do anything about this until months after we started getting serious about it. And that's why other countries have much higher numbers of people that are sick. He cut off travel from China, and predictably, they called it racist.
Xenophobia.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he just made a tweet, and I just stuck it in our in the boardroom, Dwayne. But I mean, the tweet says, with approximately 100,000 coronavirus cases worldwide and 3,280 deaths, the United States, because of quick action on closing our borders, has, as of now, only 129 cases, 40 Americans brought in, and 11 deaths. We're working very hard to keep these numbers as low as possible. That was what he just tweeted. And he tweeted that like 10 minutes ago.
And he's right. I mean, Trump immediately kicked the scientific community in the butt and said, move, or be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a virus. Okay. I actually think from what I'm reading about that Israel will probably have a virus fixed before we do. But he committed $2.5 billion. That's, government always throws money at stuff. But the thing that really bothers me is a guy named Daniel Klein. He was talking about, the fourth branch of government, the entrenched bureaucracy. Most of the people that have transmitted the disease in this country came from a cruise ship. And the State Department has a medical division. I'd never heard of this before, but they have this medical division, and they decided to go out there and get all the Americans off that ship and bring them in to this country. So that's where most of the transmissions have come from. And Trump didn't even know what was happening. When he found out about it, he was furious. I mean, the State Department works for him. And it should have been the CDC who made a decision like that anyway. But anyway, he acted quickly, and I found some charts, which I wish I could show you, but I didn't have time to get them in. We have extremely tiny numbers of cases and deaths compared to other countries. China, well over 90% of all of them are there. Well, that makes sense. A few weeks ago it was 99%, but it's because they're allowing people out of the country to infect people in other countries. But guess which countries are hit the worst, have many times more cases than we do, and are much smaller countries. It's the countries with open borders, like Italy's gotten hit really badly, and Germany and France. They allow immigrants in without checking them out. But one thing that has been really infuriating to me is hearing the liberal news media. This is why you should subscribe to Conservative Truth, because we're the antidote to the liberal news media. ConservativeTruth.org. Go sign up today. Great articles. Anyway, they're calling this a pandemic. It is not a pandemic. Dwayne, you were old enough to be around to see the Spanish flu of 1918, right?
Yeah, you were there.
Well, in just a matter of months, 100 million people died worldwide, and 673 million of those, actually 673,000, it should be there. It was 2/3 of a million died in the United States. But But the interesting thing is it took 100 years to discover.
That should be 100,000.
No, he was saying the 673. That should
I'm
be
just talking about the screen that's up right
673,000.
now. In
Yeah,
months.
worldwide, it was 100.
It was
between
100.
50 and 100.
It was.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot. Yeah. Okay.
But even back in 1918, there were billions of people on Earth.
Right.
But here's the thing: it took 100 years. There's a book about this to discover the cause of the disease, because they knew about bacteria, they didn't know about viruses, and of course, this is a virus. So they were recommending all kinds of things like gargling with bleach and taking lots of just crazy stuff. The word influenza, where we get the word flu from, came from an Italian word which means influence, because a lot of people at that time was an alignment of the planets that was influencing the Earth and causing the flu. So that's why they call it influence or influenza. They just didn't have a clue until we were able to get the electron microscope and isolate viruses and so on. But it's totally different today. Within a matter of days, scientists had identified it as a virus. Within 2 weeks, they had discovered that it came from animals, and they were already working on a cure. So it's not a pandemic. It's not the great, huge, fearful thing that the media and even our government is trying to lay on us. Now, how did it get started? Washington Times had an interesting article saying that coronavirus may have originated in a lab linked to China's biological warfare program. From reading the article, I think they believe it did, but they just don't want to come right out and say it. So they say may have originated. But China lied to us. They kept the whole thing a secret for almost 2 months. When they finally revealed it, they said, well, it was just an outbreak of pneumonia. And they blamed it on a seafood market because a few of the people, the original people, had eaten at this seafood market. But interestingly, the point of origin, I believe, is actually the Wuhan National Biosafety Laboratory. It's China's only biosafety level 4 super laboratory, the only one in the whole country, and it specializes in researching human infectious diseases. But it's very close to that market where they said, or some of their scientists said, they thought was the starting point, until they discovered a number of people that worked at Wuhan or lived close to Wuhan laboratory that had never been to the seafood market. But all the way along, we'll probably have hundreds of thousands of people that will die eventually that needn't have died if China hadn't wanted to save face and didn't want to admit that they had some kind of a leak or problem with this super laboratory. So this is it. That's the building. That's their biowarfare laboratory. And I got this from an article, Weaponizing Biotech, how China's military is preparing for a new domain of warfare. They're probably going to invent some really good rebreathers that are comfortable to wear, and then, threaten other countries, say, you do what we want or else we release this virus. Now, a little bit of perspective. As of today, and of course this changes every hour, but the latest news, There were 80,422 cases in China. There were 12,668 outside of China, which is about 15%. So 85% in China. But remember, it was just a matter of 3 weeks ago that 99% of all the cases and the deaths were in China. In the United States, we have 108 cases so far known. It's 1/1000th of 1%. Deaths in China, 3,310. That's 90% of all the deaths have occurred in China. And again, a few weeks ago it was 99%. If they'd done a better job of isolating and quarantining that area, it probably wouldn't have spread outside of China much at all. Deaths in the United States, as Mike was mentioning, only 108. That's, I'm sorry, 108 is the number of cases in the United States. There's only been, I think, 12 deaths. So that's 3/1000ths of 1%. I obviously put this PowerPoint together a little too quickly. By the way, can you tell what the background is? It's a virus. It's a virus under a microscope. Let's put this in perspective. The coronavirus versus the flu. And by the way, there isn't a coronavirus. You notice that they started talking about it and referred to it as COVID-9 lately.
At some point, it was also novel. I don't know why it was novel, but I guess, does that mean new? Or a long story?
Novel means it's one that they hadn't seen before. You know.
Gotcha.
So yeah, novel does mean new. But as far as the actual title, the real name is COVID-19. So why did they switch from talking about coronavirus to COVID-19? Well, it's because there are dozens of different coronaviruses. The SARS virus that was supposed to be a pandemic and wasn't, was a coronavirus. The MERS virus, MERS virus, same thing. And there are dozens of coronaviruses that are no more dangerous than a common cold. So that's why they isolated it out and determined which strain, because that's how they do the testing. So now they're referring to it more and more by its subdivided name.
David in the audience poses a good question. Bruce mentioned that you're supposed to mist the mask with iodine. But then David says, one has to wonder why China reacted in such draconian measures if it is just a common flu.
Well, it's
and the fact
not a
that
flu.
It came out of this biopotential Wuhan. That was the headquarters for their biotech, my understanding.
It is. That was that picture I showed on the screen.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying that the corona is a flu. I'm saying that there are lots of different strains of coronavirus, some of which are no more of a danger than a common cold. Okay. But here I want to compare the COVID-19 or COVID-9, which is serious, which is easily transmissible, and which is killing people. Compare it to the flu. Okay. Just so far in this flu season, which is not over, 29 million Americans, this is just in the U.S., have come down with the flu. 810,000 of them so seriously that they had to be hospitalized. And 16,000 have died just so far. They're estimating it could be anywhere from 28 to 30,000 Americans will die of the flu between now and the end of flu season. And yet, we only have 108 corona illnesses, and here it is 10 deaths. I thought it was 11. So why are we freaking out so much about the the COVID-9 and not paying attention to the flu? I will give you my theory. That means that was a rhetorical question.
Right.
As far as the news is concerned, flu is old news, okay? Every year, millions of people get flu. Every year, hundreds of thousands get hospitalized. Every year, tens of thousands die. It's not new. It's not sexy anymore. This is sexy. I mean, it came from China, our greatest enemy.
It's right out of a Bond flick. Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond.
Yes. So it's making news, and they can come on and breathlessly talk about how it's a new pandemic. It's going to spread throughout the world. The Democrats can blame Trump for it. They can make it into political football, and the Democrats are actually having prayer meetings. Typically, they don't believe in prayer, but they're having prayer meetings and hoping that millions of people will die of the coronavirus, because that's the only way that they could ever win the White House in November. I'm kidding about the prayer meetings. I mean, they don't pray really, but if they prayed, or maybe they're witches. They have a lot of witches in the Democrat Party. Wiccans.
I did not know that.
Oh, almost. You know, if you read about a Wiccan cult or a flock or whatever they call them, they're almost always Democrats.
Covens? Is that what it is?
Covens. There you go. There you go. So, why, when there's tens of thousands of deaths from corona and 10 deaths, is the news media hyping it so much? It's because they make more money. The more sensational they make it, the more people tune into that station. Now, why is the government going along with it? I mean, the government is saying don't panic. President Trump said don't panic.
Well, Gavin Newsom declared
CDC,
a state of emergency yesterday in California, the whole state. I mean, they've got one death, and so I understand that his motivations are probably different than what he would hope that they appear. But anyway, I was just surprised. State of emergency is kind of a big deal, but I mean, it's
but it's purely political. But the CDC, which is supposed to keep a cool head, they're saying, well, we're not declaring it as a pandemic yet, you know, implying that they might. This will never be a pandemic, okay? All these efforts that have been made to quarantine people, I wish they would do the same thing when people have the flu. You know, people go around hacking and coughing in people's faces in elevators, you know, with the flu. They should stay home. They should self-quarantine. And that would save a whole lot more lives than the coronavirus is going to take. But think about it. The Bible says the debtor is slave to the lender.
Yes, it does.
China holds the great majority of all the foreign-held U.S. debt. If they wanted to, they could, in one fell swoop, dump all of their U.S. treasuries. And of course, it would hurt them because as they did that, you know, supply and demand, it would drop the price of the treasuries. So by the time they sold the last one, they'd be losing a lot of money. But in so doing, it's economy.
You know, all they got to do is just stop buying them, which I think they pretty much have already.
Oh, yeah, they stopped buying them several years ago. That's why you hear about, you know, when they had the so-called auctions, you know, that nobody shows up for.
Right, except the Fed. We show up to buy our own paper.
The Fed is buying. Yeah. So it's like you taking $100 out of your right pocket and put it in your left pocket and saying you loan yourself $100.
Yeah.
They're keeping up the pretense.
And the left pocket charges the right pocket
treasury
interest for that transaction. So.
Oh, you better. I mean, not too many years ago, China was buying 26% of our debt. Japan was buying 22%. Well, both of them had backed out of our markets. And U.S. customers, by and large, stopped buying U.S. treasuries. As a matter of fact, PIMCO, the biggest purchaser of U.S. treasuries for the last 80 years, actually stopped buying treasuries completely for 3 years. I think they had a lot of pressure put on them by the government. So they've been going back in and buying token amounts. But anyway, China could crush us. The other problem is the trade talks that Trump is so determined come out in our favor. And again, I appreciate that. China has been ripping us off, stealing our intellectual property, making businesses that do business in China give them their trade secrets, which even the U.S. government doesn't make them do.
Right.
Okay. But over there, if you're going to do business in China, you have to give them your trade secrets, and then they rip you off and start making it themselves, whatever it is. So, I mean, these trade talks are extremely important, but because of fear of financial retaliation and trade retaliation, we're helping China cover up the fact that they covered up this whole corona thing, that they are the point of origin for it. And that's why when you see the figures on television, you don't see I had to dig to find a lot of these numbers, because on the television, mostly what you see are the worldwide numbers of people ill with corona and the worldwide numbers of deaths.
Mm-hmm.
They don't break it down the way we have today, and shown that the vast majority are in China, both of illnesses and deaths, and therefore it's obvious that they're the point of origin. I thought I had the picture that other mask up, but I guess I didn't get a chance to include that. So I think
but you did good.
Well, thank you. Let me ad-lib one other thing. I have long believed this about the markets, both because of being involved in them for 45 years, but also having done a lot of study on the history of markets, not just in this country, but other countries. And my theory is that whenever there's a crash or whenever the market goes up real big, the talking heads, the blow-dried talking heads, I call them, on Bloomberg, and I think, wasn't it interesting that when Bloomberg was running for president, all his news organizations, which are many, weren't allowed to say anything about negative about his candidacy and how much money he's spending and or anything like that. They were just muzzled. But anyway, Bloomberg is one of the big places people go for financial information.
Right.
CNBC is another.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. Yeah, he made most of his money off those Bloomberg terminals.
Oh yeah.
Traders use.
We used to have one in my office when I was a stockbroker. It cost us $25,000 a month for one terminal.
Yeah, very
and
expensive.
the brokers were lining up behind them because data is important. But anyway, on the financial press, they have to seem like they know what they're talking about. Most of those people have no training in economics. They came up as news anchors or weather people or whatever, and some of them learn on the job.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, some of the people that are commentators,
You can usually tell who knows what they're talking about and who's just playing a role. I play a financial reporter, or reading the teleprompter, right?
But the thing is that they feel compelled to tell you why the market's going up or going down when they cannot really quantify that. Just because 8 different television stations say that the market's recent crash is because of the coronavirus doesn't make it so.
Right.
Okay.
No, that's very true.
So my theory is that the market, when it wants to go down, it waits until it has an excuse. So 1987, when I was a stockbroker in the market, dropped 22.6% in one day. There had been a lot of precursors, a lot of signs that it was going to crash, or as much as a year before that. The big crash in 2000, same kinds of precursors. Same thing with 2008. And the same thing's been happening recently. One bigger than anything else is the market just got so high. You know, markets never get really, really high and then stay up there. It's just impossible. So there were a lot of reasons to believe that the market was going to take a dump. But people want to hold on to the last minute, squeeze the last dime out of their stocks that they can, or their mutual funds. So when an excuse came along, the coronavirus, it crashed. It could have been something entirely different. It could have been a nuclear power plant blowing up, and the market would have, dropped 4% in one day and 3.2% another day. It could have been Dwayne going bald and not having his beautiful ponytail,
That's right.
and that could have caused the market to crash. So to say that it's the coronavirus when it's of so much less import than the flu virus is just stupid to me. But they have to fill their airtime. They have to have something to talk about, and so they talk. But please, folks, take everything that they say with a grain of salt.
Yeah, there's always the reason du jour. Technically, I mean, this market was long overdue, for a healthy retracement. That's how a bull market stays healthy, with shallow retracements, deeper retracements. It's an ongoing thing. And so I don't use terms like overbought and oversold because they're kind of meaningless, because something can stay overbought for years, as we just saw with, all the major indices. So, yeah. But
I just thought of another
when
reason.
When it happens, though, of course, they will all pretty much agree on something as to, what caused this. Well, the market was up today because
crash the market.
How do you know that? I mean, anyway, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just flashed back on another reason that if he wasn't already suffering dementia, could have caused the market to crash when Joe Biden announced that 150 million Americans had died because of climate change.
Yeah.
Where are all those graves, by the way?
He had a hard time fighting off all those Germans in Vietnam. It was tough.
Oh,
I think one of them was named Popcorn or something. Or Pretzel.
Popcorn.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. I don't think what they've done with him. I don't think it's right.
No.
When the crowd rushed him the other night, his wife was there like a caretaker. You're okay. You're okay. I don't know. My heart kind of goes out to him. I wish him all the best. I know he's not going to become the next president, but I certainly, wish him good health for the rest of his life. So.
Well, if he did become president, he would almost certainly die in office. And there's something that I call president years. 1 year in the White House ages you like 2 years. So you saw what happened to Bush and Obama.
Yeah, I've seen
8 years
pictures.
apiece.
I've seen pictures. But with Trump, I mean, he's flourished. He looks as good today as the day he went into office. He seems
I know,
to have
it's amazing,
escaped. He
but-
seems to have escaped the curse. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a stressful job. I mean, just having all these people following you around all the time. You know, just trying to get a few minutes alone with your thoughts.
No
It's
privacy.
probably a challenge. I mean,
Yeah. So, I mean, we're looking at, a 78-year-old man who's probably going to be the nominee when he takes office. So he'll be 82 years old by the time the second term will come around.
right?
There's no way he's going to get reelected. I think it's just any party would be very foolish to put somebody up that doesn't at least have the possibility of serving 2 terms. Bernie's about the same age as Joe Biden.
Yeah, I think
Same
they're a
thing.
year apart or something.
So why would you want to elect a one-term president? And the other thing, I mean, I actually find humor in political years. It's crazy making, but it's also humorous. Everybody knows that the Democrat Party is the party of inclusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black people, Asians, Latinos, women, homosexuals, and so on. So how do we end up with 2 angry old white men as the leading contenders for the Democrat nomination? They can't blame that on Trump, and they can't blame that on the Democrats, because it's the Democrats in their primaries that kicked all the black people out, all the Latinos out, kicked the homosexual out, and now it looks like the fake Cherokee Indian's going to be out.
Yeah,
and the only woman left.
She left today. She's out.
Oh, she did good.
Yeah, she terminated. Biden's anger. It seems like it's an act. It's part of his shtick. But with Bernie, he truly is angry. He is.
I'm
He is
surprised
the
his
definition
heart
of a
attack didn't
rebel
kill him.
rouser. Huh?
Yeah.
That
When he had that heart
I
attack, I'm
know.
surprised it didn't kill him, because you could see it when he's up there shouting, his face getting red.
Yeah,
You could just
yeah.
see his blood pressure going up.
Yeah. I mean, he's very passionate about what he believes. I got no use for what he believes, but anytime I see somebody with that much passion for anything, it deserves a certain amount of admiration, unless it's something really twisted, which is kind of what his platform is. It's very twisted. So
Yes, it is.
the good news is we
Well-
don't have to worry about either one of them becoming the next president of the United States of America.
That's true.
That's the good
And
news.
the better news is, folks, you don't have to worry about the coronavirus. Just pray. Don't wait around till you're sick and ask for divine healing. Ask the Lord for divine health, because He'll give it to you. I visited my doctor a couple months ago, and he just stood there and looked at me for a couple of minutes. He said, "Tom, you've been coming to me for 30 years, and when you first came to me and you were 40 years old, you weren't half as healthy as you are today." And he said, "I would not have given you 50-50 odds of making it to 70 to 60 years old."
Wow.
That's what he said.
What are you contributing
That's like
to?
it's like a punch in the gut,
Yeah.
when somebody says that to you. I didn't think you were going to live for another 20 years. Well, what I attribute it to is divine healing. I'm just claiming the Word of God over my body, because when Jesus came, He came to save us from curses, right? And most everybody understands
Came to
that
save
He
us
came to
from
save us
ourselves.
from the curse of sin, right?
Mhm.
That's the main one. And but there's 2 other curses that a lot of Christians just don't recognize. He also came to save us from the curse of sickness and the curse of poverty. And because it says, "Brethren, I wish that you would be in health and that you prosper even as your soul prospers."
In all things, yes.
So I just started claiming divine health for myself, and my family does. We pray for each other. I started exercising, got off my butt, and started exercising, which I do just about every day. Not just a little stroll around the block or walk several miles, or we'll work out hard on machines for 40 minutes. And I cut out carbohydrates and most meat out of my diet, and I ate a lot of good, healthy vegetables, and I learned to love them.
That's good.
And so
That's
there it
very
is.
good. That's
If you want to
very
be
good.
happy, you live strong. Just do that.
Dr. Tom, it's been a great show.
Well, I've enjoyed it. I wish you could have been up there at CPAC. You would have had a blast.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed that. I think.
Next year, plan to
Hanging out
go.
with you. Okay, I will.
Okay, well, God bless everybody.
All right, my friend.
Have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Okay, have a great rest of the week. See you next week. Talk to you tomorrow, probably. Okay. All right, guys, we're back with the S&P. Now, earlier we talked about this second trigger, or the third trigger, which we got, which took us down to the weekly trading zone. Now, the first move down, right here, this red candle, okay, buyers came in early. They'll do that because when buyers came in here at the zone, right, look how far they pushed it. From 34 to 80. Almost 50 points, almost. So were they eager and anxious as price got back down into this area to take another run at it? Sure. And they ran it from 30.35 up to 30.39. No. I'm sorry. They ran it from 30.35 up to 30.47. It's a 12, 13 point move on this bounce, which ultimately failed. And as you recall earlier in the show, we said if the weekly trading zone does fail, and we expect it to be good support until it isn't. So we almost bounced all the way back to the zone overhead. It got us above the trigger so that we could get that third trigger, which took us from 63 to 33. It's a 30-point move. We had a 30-point move, and then we had a shorter move, and then another. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Okay, so we said if we drop below this zone, we would expect the market to pull up. Talked about this at the beginning of the show. Because if it fails to be good support, I want to know if it's going to be good resistance. And it is, so far. Okay, so on the way to the next zone, which is down at 29.45/46, we have one obstacle. We have two obstacles in the path now. We have this obstacle, and we have this obstacle. So if price takes out this obstacle, I will probably catch a bounce. Here we should catch a pretty decent bounce, possibly back up to this area right here. And then as we wind our way into the end of the week, Friday, as long as we stay south of 30.33, as long as we stay south of 30.33, the market price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. Okay. Now there's obstacles in the path. Got to overcome this. Got to overcome this. It's possible that price won't overcome it. Okay. This could turn out to be a bigger picture double bottom, and we could see higher markets. Okay. We don't try to fool you into thinking we know what's going to happen next, because we don't. No one does. But we don't try to confuse you or make you believe that we do. We just tell you up front, we don't know what's going to happen next. We can't change the past, per God, and we can't know the future, per God. Those two things are inextricably linked for eternity. So all the websites that make all those promises, what I just said should make you take a second thought, a second look. Okay. Again, if you want to hang out with us, You can come for 5 days. We'll treat you just like you're a partner. You'll have access to everything we do, the alerts, the indicators, the platform, the training, the 2-hour room every day. No credit card required. Because we want you to have 5 days to get your arms around it so that at the end of the week, at the end of your trial, you can make a well-informed decision whether or not what we do is right for you. It also includes the weekly trading zones, the Logic 247 alerts, the Concierge Trade Alerts. So this was last night's Concierge Trade Alert for the S&P, sell 3063. Now, James, let me see if you're still here. Yeah, you had a question. Let me scroll back up to the question. Okay, so you are back. Okay. All right, let me read your question. At about 10:20 this morning, there was a 24/7 alert to short ES 48. A few minutes later, the trade triggered, reached a low of 47.25 before stopping me out at 54, 6 points. Price came down and triggered 48 again. And once again, I stopped out at 54. Should I have taken the second attempt at 48, or should I have left it alone after stopping out once? Of course, did not take the third time when price did reach 46 and lower. Okay. All right, so that price that you're talking about was 30.4725, I think. Let me go look. Let me take a look at the exact alert that you're talking about. It was actually sell 30.48 with a target at 46, initial target. Okay, and then the final target, which is what we're looking at here, is the zone 3033/34. So the question is, what time frame were you trading off of? Because we have a methodology, James, and I'm sure we've gone through it in a mentoring session. 1 minute. Okay, I don't really use a 1 minute. So the markets are incredibly volatile right now. I've posted that in the channel, and I talked about it this morning when I took the screens in the live training room for a few minutes. The markets are so volatile right now, even though they're still doing they're doing everything we expect them to do, the same way they've done it since the inception of the markets. It's just that right now the volatility is so great that the markets are so extreme, you have to have an extreme stop. So in your case, 6 points just simply wasn't enough. Now, it might have looked like enough on a 1 minute chart, which is why you always want to refer to your 30 minute and your 5 minute. Now, let's see, what time did that go out? That went out at 10:34 a.m. Okay, so let me find the 10:30 candle. That was this candle right here. Okay, so based on a 30-minute chart, your stop loss about 30.69, 30.70, which is a huge stop. But again, these are huge markets. I mean, currently, what do we got? S&P's down 106 points. Now, go back in history, way back. The average daily range for the S&P 500 is about 20 points. But we're getting 20-point 30-minute candles. I mean, look at this one here, 30.54 to 30.80. I mean, it's really best that you wait this market out. Let it calm down, let it go back to being plain vanilla, unless you're willing to utilize, additional risk. So hopefully that answers your question. If you have any additional questions regarding that, just type them in, and I'll be happy to answer for you. On the Dow, last night's Concierge Trade Alert was to be short 26,485. So we triggered, and we got a drop down to 26,250. 226. So that's about 250. It's about a $1,200 per contract trade. Then price got back above the trigger, triggered again, and notice where it found support, just like with the S&P. The S&P found support, for a while, for a season here. These are 30-minute candles. We hit the zone and bounced, exactly what we expect. We hit the zone and bounced. We didn't bounce like we did on the S&P. So the whole structure of the market is starting to look a little bit weaker. Now, from 485, this is basically the second trigger. It's about 400 points. The Dow pays $5 a point. This is how volatile the market. This right here, that's that one move. That's a $2,000 per contract move, with an entry at the alert price and an exit at the weekly trading zone below. And price is always trying to get to a zone. Sometimes it fails to get there, but it's either trying to get to the zone overhead or the zone below. Okay? And in the case of the S&P and the Dow, we see that happened again, Let's go to the Russell. Okay, the Russell triggered a number of times. It didn't really go anywhere. Okay, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. We finally got a good move that took us from 1489 down to 72. 72.89, that's 17 points, $50 a point. On the NQ, last night's alert was to be short 87.66. We made it actually on the second trigger. Well, the first trigger was huge, but the second trigger, 87.66 down to 86.66, which is basically where that is, about 87.66. So 87. So that's a 100-point move in the NQ at $20 a point. Back above the trigger, did it again. Okay. Crude oil. Last night's alert was to be short 46.30. The swing low was 45.90. So that's a $400 per contract move. That's what the market made available. And then important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Price gets back above the trigger. And we're working on the second trigger right now. James, did you have any other questions regarding that? Because we're moving to the last chart, last night's alert. And by the way, if you didn't have a chance to grab a copy of the alerts, if you'd like a screenshot, because important prices and important areas are almost always tested and the static report is valid until the next set of alerts are issued tonight after the Globex Open. Okay. So on gold, we said to be long 16.45, and from 45 to 65, that's 20 points. It's about a $2,400 per contract move so far. Again, if you want to take the trial, want to come hang out for a week, go to eminitrainingschool.com. No credit card required. Don't need to know your mother's maiden name, any of that. Just go sign up. You'll have access to the live training room for a week, 5 days. You can use our platform, use our indicators, receive the alerts. The Logic 247 alerts are 24/7, around the clock. Concierge Trade Alerts, static report issued once per session, but the numbers are valid for the entire session. Let's go to our good word for the day. Yesterday we started talking about marriage, and we'll continue. Ecclesiastes 9:9. Live joyfully with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life, which he has given you under the sun, all your days of vanity, for that is your portion in life, and in the labor which you perform under the sun. Live joyfully with the wife whom you love. 3 things happen in a good marriage. Number 1, you get to know yourself. To grow, you must be able to look at yourself realistically. By far the best place to do that is in a home filled with love. It lets you be open about your mistakes and shortcomings. It's a safe place to fail. It creates a listening environment filled with understanding, encouragement, and support. The people closest to us form us. If you want to change your world, bring peace to your community and righteousness to your nation, start at home. Number 2, you get to know your character. A Christ-centered home not only helps form your children's character, it strengthens yours as well. Character is built on the choices you make and the habits you cultivate. And since your family creates your primary environment, it influences those choices and habits. Strong families encourage us to make good choices, develop the right disciplines, and pay the price today for success tomorrow. And number 3, you have a safe haven. It seems like the pace of life gets more hectic every day. Driving on overcrowded roads is stressful. The workplace is demanding. The playground is even an increasingly hostile environment. Where can you find shelter? If not at home, then probably nowhere. Theodore Roosevelt said, "I'd rather spend time with my family than with any of the world's notables." His home was his safe haven in the midst of life's storms. And yours can be too. The question is, what are you doing to make it that way? And remember, whatever it was that got you here will not take you there. That's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.